go. Way to get down, Ann Brothers. Way to get down. What's up, everybody? Happy Sunday. It is the first show of the new year. That's right. It is Sunday. It's January 5th. It's our first show of 2025. It still feels like 2024 to me. I don't know. So.
I know I can't. I had to write. Yes, I still write checks. I had to write a check, and I was like, oh, I had to hesitate on the date. I was like, it can't be 2025 because that's in the future. But the future is now.
Is now. I know,
Is
it's
now.
crazy.
Mhm.
Yes, we are a quarter of a century into the century, which is kind of a weird thought too. I know.
I know.
I
We're the
know.
1975 to 2000, Jenny.
Oh.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa. Whoa.
Uh-huh.
I know, it's crazy.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's that whole idea that when you're young, time just kind of has this different thing, and then you get older, and then your time's like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's weird.
Mhm.
So yeah, here we are, the first Sunday of 2025, and before you know it, it will be the last Sunday of 2025, and we'll be lamenting about where did the year go, blah blah blah. So yeah, that's okay.
Mhm.
So yeah, but anyway, you're here with us. We are here with you. We're talking about stuff. We're going to talk a little bit about work. It's not really a retrospective today, and it's also we in the past we've done a Viva la Resolution show. We chose not to kind of we went in kind of a different direction this year, but we want to talk about 2025. But I don't know, resolutions feel so cliche. So
Exactly. I was like,
yeah.
we're still going to talk about weight loss and organization. No.
Mm, no, and the reason you don't need to talk about weight loss is that everybody else is talking about weight loss. So my feed right
Mhm.
now is just littered with all the things to do to lose weight, especially if you're in menopause, because the my algorithm knows I'm going through menopause right now. So it's like, oh no, you can't lose weight in menopause. You should do this, this, and this. And you're just like,
Mhm.
shut up.
Yeah, I got this whole chart for chair yoga, depending on how old you are, and then I took a I went to Costco because I was grocery shopping, and the whole wall of want was vitamins. It was all vitamins, and Jenny was like, "Well, if I take them all, will that work?"
I know. I'm like, well, and the funny thing about vitamins is that you'll just end up peeing all that and pooping all that out anyway. So,
Exactly,
what's the point?
exactly. What's the point? You have very nutritious poop.
My poop will be the nutritionists,
Exactly.
if that's a word.
So,
That's not even a word.
yeah, and it'll
So,
be the new diet. Anyway, it's a new rabbit diet. So anyway, yeah, I can't get away. I was listening to Spotify today, and I don't pay for Spotify, and so I have to listen to the ads, and they were all weight loss, how I could get Ozempic, um, Weight Watchers, all of them. I was like, damn. And then something about how to Tide. So I guess if I'm a woman and they know I'm a woman, the only thing I should be doing is dieting and cleaning.
okay, so that tracks, and that pretty much
Mhm.
hasn't changed in 5,000 years.
It
So
has not. It has not. So
that's amazing.
it
So,
was.
so we're talking about 2025 today. We are trying to frame it in terms of, I don't know, I guess I would say vision is
Duncan's like
how we
actualizing. That's what Duncan's like. It's like, oh, you're actualizing.
Oh God, what's that? Is that from Fargo?
Yes. He actualized
That's season 2 of Fargo, where Kirsten Dunst. I wasn't ever really sure if I liked Kirsten Dunst as an actor
until
until Fargo season 2, and I'm like, oh,
Mhm.
I love her.
Yeah. No, she plays a
Yeah,
crazy, crazy woman. And not like slash your tires crazy, just trying to do the best she could with what she had and stealing toilet paper. So,
yeah. And of all the seasons of Fargo, season 2 is the best season because not only do you have an amazing Kirsten Dunst in that, but you also have Jean Smart in that season, who is spectacular
mhm.
as the matriarch of a very naughty family. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So
yeah,
between the two of them, but
awesome.
yes, Kirsten Dunst is self-help, which has not changed since because this is set in the 70s, like 1976. So it's like, man, this could be literally, she could be talking about this self-help cult right now.
Right now. Yeah, it's true.
Hmm.
All right, so shall we dig into our stuff, and brothers?
Yeah, let's dig, Jenny Brothers.
Let's dig into 2025. All right, there it is. Cousin Joe, that's for you. Your favorite It's a Google slide presentation just for you. Sorry, man.
Yeah, but there's a picture of us, so you can see our
That's
faces.
right. There we go. Yes, and it's a great picture too. Good job, Joe and Tree, who took
Mhm.
the tree on the beach at Big Bay, who took that picture for us. Thanks,
And
Tree.
yeah,
You're
good job.
amazing.
And then
All right.
this is the copy that Duncan, like, straightened for us, so it was, like, not on an
Yes,
angle.
this is the edited version of this
Mhm,
picture because Duncan used his magic phone to do things to it.
mhm.
So
Yep.
thanks, Duncan.
So there we are.
Yes. And since you're the one that added this amazing inverse relationship graph, would you mind taking us through the synopsis for this week? Now,
Not at
yeah,
all.
yeah, I had some feelings when you threw that on there because I spent a lot of time trying to explain what an inverse relationship was to my chemistry students this year. It did not go well.
It did not go well. All
Oh
right,
my
so,
god.
to
By the
if
way,
you
that's
are
Boyle's law we're looking at. Sorry. Okay, keep going.
so, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, everybody in our view or who is listening and or viewing, if you're a new listener, here's our synopsis. If you are a frequent listener, here we go again. We're Anne and Janice brothers. We're sisters, therefore the brothers sisters. We're in our 50s, Generation X, which means that when we were growing up, the more children that were around, the less adult supervision we had, especially if it included water like a pool or a lake. So this is
Pool would
inversely
take care of
proportional.
us.
Exactly. Nobody had to watch us because we could keep ourselves entertained, which usually meant somebody was going under because somebody else was pushing them down. But anyway, when we were growing up, yeah, inversely proportional relationship. The more kids you had, the less adult supervision because the adults just kind of figured we would take care of each other until somebody didn't. And that was very common. And if you added water like a pool or a lake, that was it. There was no adult anywhere in sight because, we were all entertained. They did not need to be there. If a fight broke out, they're like, cut it out. Somebody would yell out a window or something, and then they would go back to whatever pinochle drinking they were doing. So, yes, that was a
For our mother, it would be bourbon summer slush.
exactly. So that was a very common thing. I see a lot more parent involvement now. Like, when they have play dates, all the parents stay and, like, watch their kids play. But when we were growing up, nobody was watching us play. And the more kids you had playing, the less watching was happening.
Oh, and it's more than that, Anne. When the parents get together, they're like an army of doers. It's like they're like the army of parents is doing something. They're preparing something. They're filling something. They're managing something. It's like this army of the parents that are going to, fill the coolers with stuff, or they're making the sandwiches, or they're doing the thing with this. It is. It's like literally not only are they supervised, but they are literally taking care of every need of the children. I'm like, wow.
I was gonna say
I
every once in a while, maybe a pitcher of Kool-Aid would show up and maybe like a pile of bologna sandwiches, or maybe not.
Oh, and it was like if you wanted that Kool-Aid, you had to get there. I think that's why when I was young and fit, I was so fast because if you weren't fast, you didn't get the tiny Dixie cup of Kool-Aid, okay?
Exactly. Exactly. Because nobody was bringing more out or making sure you got your share.
No, it was a one-time shot, and if you didn't get it, you weren't getting it. You were reduced to drinking lake water. So,
Ex- Exactly. And I was like, drank a lot of lake water and a lot of pool water. I got to tell you.
yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, there was like it was an exercise in hoarding and just fending for yourself. And I love you and you're my sister, but you know I wasn't going to make sure that you got your Kool-Aid, and you weren't going to make sure
No,
I got mine.
I was not. You know what? I would make sure you got your Kool-Aid after I got my Kool-Aid. So let's
That's
just
fair.
say, we're in
That's
a group of kids and I got my Kool-Aid and I noticed Jenny didn't get her Kool-Aid. I had no problem taking Kool-Aid away from another kid to make sure you got it, but I wanted to make sure I got mine first.
Yep.
And then
Yeah.
everybody back into the lake. So yes, so
Yes.
that was a thing
Yes.
in our youth. Yes, more kids, less adult, a lot less adult supervision.
Yeah.
We like to talk about smart stuff and dumb stuff and fun stuff, or any combination of the three. And we are not cool, hip, or sexy, and we know this because we just produced an inversely proportional graph on a number of children versus adult supervision. In other words, the number of children goes up and the number of adults to supervise goes down.
Yes.
Inversely proportional, not proportional, inversely proportional.
Yeah. Yep. That's correct.
Mhm. Exactly. So that's, if you're cool, hip, or sexy, you don't know what that means.
No, you don't know that at all.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
what are you gonna do?
Anyway, we're not a true crime celebrity or influencer podcast. We are all about the Fitbit, though, fitting every bit of cake in our mouths. Yeah.
I would 100% agree with that. We're also not a podcast. We also don't have husbands that are NFL players to help boost our brand. So sorry,
Mm,
um, Duncan, Joe. I mean, come on,
come on.
really, we really need you guys
Footballs.
to become NFL players to boost our brand.
I think it would help if we were blonder and thinner. So,
Yes, that is
but
correct.
also not going to
Yes.
happen. So here we are.
No. No.
So we are good to listen to when you want to learn things about stuff. And hey, maybe today you just learned what it meant to be inversely proportional. So you're
Mm-hmm.
welcome. You can find us on our website. This podcast is not GPG or even PG-13. We swear, especially when it's this fucking cold outside. So,
Super fucking cold, and it's not even cold. Not even not even comparatively. Like all my Minnesota slash Wisconsin people, you guys are genuinely cold. We're just a little bit cold here.
yeah, I still don't like it. Anyway, as I said, you can find us on our website, Spotify, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music. You can like us, follow us, hit the bell, smash the bell, and leave
Smash it.
us a review. Tell us what you think. I don't know if that will change anything, but you could tell us.
You
Give us
could,
your
yeah,
feedback with our questions and answers and our polls, and you can ask Alexa to play us, and she's going to do it.
because she will do your bidding
She will do your bidding
so
for the time being. So you might as well
for
take
now.
advantage of that while it's still
Yes,
happening.
correct,
Anyway,
correct.
so that's who we are.
Good.
Mhm.
Yes. So let's go ahead. Now we because it's the new year, we'll talk about what we did over the new year in just a second. But let's talk about smart stuff, dumb stuff, fun stuff that happened this week.
Mhm.
And brothers, let's start with you.
Well, it was fun, smart. We did some dumb stuff too. It was all of it. It was a trifecta. Jenny and myself and our husbands, Duncan and Joe, we all went up to the Upper Peninsula. We did some winter Upper Peninsuling. And we've only been summer Upper Peninsula people because, winter in the Upper Peninsula is harder. But we
It
decided to go
is.
up to Marquette and experience some winter time in Marquette, and we had a great time. We had so much fun. I have a picture here of Duncan standing on one of the black rocks over at Black Rock on Presqu'île. So he's not really not that far from the beach. It makes him this picture makes him look like he's way out in the water, but he's not. He's only like a foot from the beach. But that day the waters were very crashy, so he had to like stand there, take a picture, then jump off because like 2 waves later it was all underwater again. So anyway, we had a great time. We went to restaurants we liked. We had time to go to our favorite coffee place. We did some hiking. We spent some winter beach time. We went to a ball drop on New Year's Eve. Don't have to do that again, but we did. uh, my
Yes.
my sister and my husband and her husband and a few strangers got to see me dance in the street, which was hilarious. And yeah, we had a really great time. So yay, Upper Peninsula in the winter, highly recommend it. All you Florida people, please go up to Marquette.
Yeah, it was something that we've actually talked about doing for a while, just wanting to see the UP in, we're both so enamored with the Upper Peninsula during the summertime, and it's easy to be enamored with the Upper
Mhm.
Peninsula in the summertime because it's freaking beautiful up there. So, and we've always talked about, like, wonder what it's like here in the winter. Wonder what it's like here in the winter. So we found out that in the winter it's cold and dark and a little bit depressing, but Marquette was lovely. I will say this because we went, we basically drove. We left on, I don't know, last Sunday, and we went up to Tequanimon Falls to start with, which is more towards the east side of the UP. And it's a little bit, I would say, it is not populated over on that neck of the woods by
Mhm.
any stretch. So we went to the Tequanimon Falls, which was beautiful.
Mhm.
And but again, there's not much there. I mean, we saw maybe what, 4 cars on the way there.
Mhm. Yeah, exactly.
And then we drove over to Marquette, and that there's large portions of the UP that are a little bit quiet and dark, and it was so dark that day that we drove up there. I'm like, it was like the middle of the day. You're like, is it like is the sun setting or something? But this is at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. But it was just one
Mhm.
of those days. But like I said, we got to Marquette, and Marquette is such a bright little town. I mean, it's progressive. It's got a huge hospital system. It's got a university. It's right on the water. It's a huge town in terms of commerce with like the ore boats, and so it really is just a nice bright spot. We stayed in a really great little Airbnb, which was right downtown, which was
Mhm.
fantastic. If you're gonna stay in Marquette, stay in an Airbnb. Just go check it out if there are some available, because it really was just a nice way to kind of spend some time. And
Mhm.
after that, we didn't really do a ton of stuff. It was really relaxing and really nice. It was cold and gray, but the lake was amazing. I'd never seen Lake Superior in the wintertime. It was amazing. The best part for me was taking that hike around Presque Isle. I thought that was great because in the summertime you can drive around Presque Isle, but you can't in the wintertime. They have it closed off. So the only way to get over to the Black Rocks on the other side of the aisle is to walk it. So that's what we did. And honestly, if I'm the city of Marquette, I don't let anybody drive that ever again.
Yeah, no, I would
Because
leave that whole trail closed, that whole road
yeah,
closed all year round.
yeah, and like we went and saw we hung out there this summer, and it was amazing how many people were on those Black Rocks. And what's going to happen is that, the Black Rocks are a thing now. Marquette is becoming a thing. And so by letting people drive that, they're just going to ruin it. They're just going to park wherever. They're going to find all these, places where they shouldn't be parking and park there. They're going to ruin it. So I think the city of Marquette needs to get ahead of that. Just say, if you want to access these things, we'll make it accessible for you, but you have to walk there or roll there or ride your bike there,
Mhm.
but you can't drive unless you have some sort of, sticker, license plate, something like that. So that's what I think.
Mhm.
But yeah, I would agree. It was great fun. And the ball drop in Marquette downtown is a little different than the one in New York.
Just a little just a little
Yes,
bit. Lots of room
tiny bit.
for,
Hmm.
expansion.
Yes, yes, indeed. So yeah, good one, Anne. Upper
Mhm.
Peninsula in the winter. It's a fun thing.
It is a fun
Well,
thing.
Anne, I went with something smart this week. I know. Look at me doing the smart
Mhm.
thing. I'm currently reading the book Challenger. I can't think. Hang on. I forgot the name of the. There it is. By Adam Higginbottom, and it's just been released a few weeks ago. It's about the Challenger disaster in 1986. Of course, the Space Shuttle Challenger blew up in January of 1986. And it's a really interesting, for starters, I think Netflix did a series on the Challenger disaster. No, they did a series on the Columbia disaster. Um, was it Columbia? No, it was the Challenger disaster a number of years ago, I think during COVID. And this book basically takes you through the time before, during, and after the disaster. And it really is a book about the failure of organizational leadership, and it's excellently written, excellently told. I mean, Higginbotham leaves no stone unturned when it comes to getting to the bottom of what happened. And it's interesting because he starts the book talking about the Apollo program, and he starts it with the Apollo 1 fire. And you learned about, again, that incredible failure of leadership. Um, and it really is incredible that they kept making the same mistakes over and over and over and over again, and they're still making them. It's bad,
Mm.
but it's also a testament to the people that um, are doing well in the organization and those that are failing. It's interesting.
Mm.
I don't know. I don't know, Ann Brothers, but I just know that it's a really great book, and I'm really loving it. And I like books like this that go through historical events and really give you the real story of what happened and how incredibly avoidable it was. Never should have happened. So
Mm.
it's amazing how many people knew this was going to happen and they launched anyway.
Wow.
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
heard that too. I've heard that said before.
yeah. Great book. And I love nonfiction book. It's my favorite books. My favorite books to read are nonfiction. So this one is, and I've always been fascinated by this particular disaster because I think you know, it was one of those things. It was so talked about in our time. I was a
Mhm.
freshman in high school when this happened, and I just remember. the Krista McCall thing with the teacher going into space, and everybody was really following it and really into it. So when it blew up, it was like, whoa, really
Hmm.
stuck. You know,
Yeah.
yeah. So anyway, that's my smart thing for this week.
Hmm.
There you go.
Very
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
Very smart.
Yes. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and get into this. Oh, wait, before we move on, don't forget you can support the Brothers Sisters for free. All you got to do is like, follow, subscribe, leave a review, smash that button. Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music. Put the word out to your friends and your people. Help support us. It'll be fun. You'll feel good about it.
You
Giving
will.
feels good.
It does.
Yeah.
Hmm.
That's my story. I'm sticking to it. Okay,
Hmm.
let's talk about 2025, the year ahead. So
Indeed.
normally this time of year, people talk about all the things that they're going to do in 2025 and all the weight they're going to lose and how they're going to get organized and all this stuff. And so we're not really kind of going with that. We're basically kind of keeping it close to home. In other words, you and I are going to talk about what we want or what we see for ourselves this year. So rather than advising you guys on how to live your lives. Neither of us are life coaches, though we like to pretend to be sometimes. This is about what we're looking for, and we're telling you guys because you're our people. You're with us now. So here we go. And any thoughts so far before we get started on this?
No, that's exactly how I would have put it. I was like, it's just less about telling other people what to do and trying to get my own shit together.
Yay!
Mhm.
Yay, shit.
Mhm.
All right, so here's my stuff for 2025. And I will just say right now that a lot of what I'm doing is shaped by the book, The 12-Week Year. Now, Ann Brothers, I know how you feel about self help books. I know you don't buy into them, but I thought I would try something different this year because I
Mhm.
feel like a lot of what I've been doing over the past, I'm going to say 5 to 10 years really has not been working for me. I mean, don't get me wrong. Everything's fine. I got a nice house that I love. I have a job that I like I like where I work. I don't like what I do for a living. And feeling like if I don't make some changes, I'm going to end up living like this forever. So I'm going to just kind of give you a little preface about what this book's about. The 12-week year, and I can't remember who wrote it. A couple of guys that know things about stuff, and they're business dudes. And so this book is very much framed around, being the best business people you can be, blah blah blah. But and there's a lot. This book resonated with me a lot because um, I tend to look at a year and say, yeah, it'll get done. And then it never gets done. And so, what I like about this book is it frames it that in a year, you split your year into 4 years. So each 12 weeks is a year. That's what the premise is about. And what they talk about in doing that is if you are just setting your goals for 12 weeks at a time, it applies urgency to your goals. And I think that's super smart because it's really easy to say, well, I'm going to do this by this time. And then all of a sudden it's 6 months later and all that's gone. Um, and so I really like that idea. And it's funny because when I've done things in the past, I have found that if I have it in a 10-week time frame or a 6-week time frame or a 12-week time frame, I tend to get things done because those deadlines are so much closer to me. So my first year essentially starts right now until March 30th. That's my first year. That's my first 12 weeks. So at the end of those 12 weeks, these are the things that I've put down as the things that these are my goals. I want to run a 5K St. Patrick's Day weekend. I want to finish the ID program that I'm working on, not just finishing it, but I also want to add 4 new samples to my portfolio. I would like to remove the clutter from my space. I'd like to save $3,000, and I'd like to find help with the brothers sisters to expand our reach because I'm limited by my time and my profession in order to find help to make this expand. So those are the things that I want to do it. Now, of course, I have larger goals for 2025, but the idea is that by looking at the whole of 2025 as 12 weeks, again, it creates that urgency. It keeps those goals closer in your mind, and it keeps you working towards those things. So that's where I am right now with some of my goals. Your thoughts so far, Ann Brothers?
I think I think that's a great idea. I know that when I was teaching, we'd often goals for students, especially because I taught seventh grade. So you couldn't make goals that were too like, oh, by the end of the year you'll be an A student, that sort of thing, or you're going to turn in do all this. It never worked because the goals were too far away for students to reach or to see. Seventh
Mhm.
graders usually can't see more than like 2 minutes ahead in the future. So even like a 10-week goal was often too much for students, and you'd want to make it like literally a daily goal or sometimes even an hourly goal. And I think this is a good thing for adults in that, 12 weeks, that's only, that's beginning of spring, it's not too far away. And it's not like you've set a huge amount. You have 5 goals that you want to reach. And the truth is even if you got like 3 of those goals done, that would be a big deal. That's something that, hey, maybe most people only do those 3 in a year. So that just, it's giving you a sense of you get these done, and then that success maybe will breed the next 12, make the next 12 weeks seem even more realistic. So I don't think it's a bad idea. The problem I have with self-help books is that they usually work for one person, and that's the person that wrote them. And failure is built into the book. So if you don't succeed, it's because how you failed, not how the book failed you or how the ideas failed you, but how you failed the ideas. And you see that with dieting, you see that with self-help books. It's just it can be really self-defeating, like, oh well, I failed this, instead of, it's like, well, maybe you didn't fail it, maybe this idea just didn't work for you. It worked for one person, and they made it a success. And maybe it was successful for them because they had a team of people helping them, or maybe it just really helped because of how their personality works. And then they market it, and it's like, oh well, if I succeeded, and I know 5 other people that succeeded. So if you didn't succeed, it's because you didn't work hard enough. So that's the problem I have with most self-help stuff, is that it's designed to make money for the person who wrote it, or and then also designed that they have a way out if you fail. It's like, oh, it's your fault. It's not my fault. I'm a winner. You're a loser.
It is my fault. I'm a
I'm
loser.
a loser. So that's the problem I have with them, is that everybody's different. You literally, what, there's 7 billion people on the earth. We should probably have 7 billion self-help books, one for each person. So
Help
yeah.
me.
So
Here,
if
I'm
this
gonna talk. Say that
Mhm.
again.
No, if this works for you, and that's the thing. If you like our Aunt Julie was a huge fan of the self-help book, and she was one of the
Yes.
coolest, most interesting people I know. And I often say to myself, what would my Aunt Julie do? And then I go and do that. So, it's not like I think they're, I think if that's what you like, great, go do it. And if they work for you, great, go do it. But um they don't work well for me, I guess, is what I'm saying. So I'm like, if they don't work well for you, that's okay too, you know
Fair enough. I don't
hmm
know. I'll let you know in a while
and
if this is gonna work for me or not.
yeah, I was
But
gonna say, well, maybe we'll talk about it at the beginning of 2026, Jenny.
indeed. Well, and again, so the goals that I made, these 5 goals are essentially, they're part of and I'll talk about this in the next slide in terms of just what I envision for myself over the next 1, 3, 5, 10, 15 years. And yet, and again, it's like it's it seems silly to plan that far out, but at the same time, um, you dare to dream, so to speak. So, as far as the whole of 25, I'd love to get us to 10,000 followers, and you can help us by liking, smashing that button, sharing with your friends, and all of that. Um, this is another one for me. And I know that I have listeners who I work with, and they may or may not want to hear this, but the truth is, I would like to no longer be responsible for the health, safety, and learning of anyone else's kids, except maybe for my future grandkid. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that out loud. Go Sarah. Okay, anyway. But yeah, I've been teaching for 25 years, and it gets a little harder every year. It would get a little harder every year until 2020, and then it has gotten exponentially harder every year. And it's a combination of what we did to kids during COVID, which was the worst. We basically said, you don't have to be responsible for anything because you're sad. Um, it's social media, and um, it's smartphones. Those are things that we've done that are making this job nearly impossible, I guess.
hmm
Um, so yeah, I'm tired of being responsible for the health, safety, and learning of anyone else of everyone else's kids, and that maybe I've done this for too long now, and maybe it's time for something else. So that's one thing I would like for myself by the end of 2025 is that I'm doing something else. I don't know what that is yet. I have some ideas for sure. I'm not really ready to talk about those yet, but we're getting there. The other thing is, I would like to run my first marathon, and I would like it to be in Detroit in October. One of our, oh, wait, there's a comment. I'd like to read that comment. That comment is Tracy Larson. She says, agreed and congratulations in 5 weeks. I'm 5 weeks from grandmahood. I know, right? Isn't it cool? Yes, yes, yes. It's extremely cool. Congratulations to you. I can't believe it's only 5 weeks away for you. Holy crap. I know. That's awesome. So yes, yeah, and that's Tracy. You are you're an educator as well. You're living it as well, and it's really interesting. I was thinking about I've updated my LinkedIn page. It's super swanky now. Well, not really, but I have some connections on there from when I was teaching back in Colorado, and it really is amazing to me how different my job was then compared to how it is now. I know, right? So that's part of the whole is that, yeah, it's time for something else. I have talents, I have skills. I would like to put them to use in something other than this. So, like I said, one of my friends who I work with ran Detroit in this October 2024, and it just sounded really cool. So, I would like to. One of the things I've learned about running is that A, I like to do it. B, it's hard. One of the hardest things, I'm not really a natural born runner. I'm short, I'm fat, I'm hobbity, but I really like what it does to me mentally, physically, and emotionally. I like the process of running. I like the what it does to your brain while you're doing it. It forces you into patience and all kinds of other little what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. Um, it forces you into many different parts of your mental, physical, and emotional toolbox that you don't access unless you're there. That's how I'll put it. Uh, I'm I like running in different places. Like one of my favorite half marathons was in Chicago because I got to know Chicago really well by running that run. Little nooks and crannies and things that you're not used to seeing, and cool things that you can only see when you're not um, when there's no traffic around you and you have the freedom to do that. And that's what I want to do with this because you get to run to Canada, you get to run to uh, oh hey Sam, girl, you are on. I accept Sam Adamsberger. I totally accept. Yeah, and I miss it. I miss running. I miss you know what, Sammy? I miss running with my Colorado peeps. That was the happiest and most fun I've ever had as a runner. Is when I was living and running with my women in Colorado. I just really love that, and I miss that. So yeah, so Sam, you're on. Plan for October. We're running Detroit. It's cool because you get to run over the Ambassador Bridge into Canada, and then you get to run through the tunnel on the way back, which is something I've always wanted to do. So yeah, let's go. Yeah, that's totally. I'm jazzed. Now I'm jazzed. Jazz hands. But anyway, to start that, I'm just going to start with something simple by running a 5K in March, and usually there's like 8 of them like there's one every 8 feet on St. Patrick's Day weekend, so that's what
Mhm.
I'm going to do. And then finally, the last thing is to buy a rental property in Marquette. So I have some money squirreled away from that from Aunt Julie, and so like any other money I save will go to kind of refurbishing what Joe and I are putting together to terms, just to take care of the house and the yard. We need a new fence, so it goes towards things like that. So yeah, so there you go. And as far as um, how this will happen. And this is one of the things I really liked about this book, this self help book, is that creating a clear vision for this year, for 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, and 15 years. And I've never done that before. I've never been big on vision. It's always kind of felt like something fluffy. But one of the things this book talks about, and I think I kind of get it now, is that the idea is that vision is the thing that sort of keeps you moving forward. What do you want from this? And it's like, well, I'd like, you know, I would like to be financially secure, as I move towards retirement. I want to be physically able to touch my toes and flexible and strong enough where I'm not reliant on medication, um, those sorts of things. And those are things that you can do Those are things I do have control over. And that's one of the things I really liked about this book is it talks about the fact you can't control everything. You do not know what the future is going to bring, but there are certain parts of your life that you can control. And what I do is those things that I can control. I'm like, okay, I can totally buy that. And you know, uh-oh. Marla the cat has joined us. It is well past her dinner time, and she's simply telling me that. So, again, a clear vision of what I want in the near future, and then that dare to dream long term future. Careful planning and tactics, and then execution of those tactics, and a willingness to be uncomfortable because change requires discomfort. And there's lots of ways of being uncomfortable. There's mental, physical, and emotional ways of being uncomfortable. And it's this acceptance of I'm going to have some I'm going to experience some discomfort in order to achieve my goals. And it's not entirely discomfort, but there's going to be some, and that I have to be willing to accept that, and then finally I have to be willing to ask for help um in order to get these things to happen. And that help becomes things like, for instance, Sammy, you're going to train and help me, which is awesome. And you're one of my constant series of support, so you know what I'm doing. My husband is, my friend group is. And so one of the things it talks about is that you have to talk to people about the things that you want to do, and that's hard for me. It always has been. I've always been one to kind of run and hide and kind of figure things out for myself because I was afraid if I asked I would get yelled at. So I'm like, I'll just figure it out for myself. And we'll go all the way back to the learning teaching myself how to tie my shoes.
Ugh.
Because I know, because I saw what you went through. And I'm like, I'm not doing that. So it's always kind of been that way. So it's like
Mhm.
literally taken me 50 years to figure out that I can break that and, and ask for help and do those things. So anyway, that's my vision of 2025, Ann Brothers.
Wow,
There it
Jenny
is.
Brothers. Wow,
Yeah. Yeah.
very good.
Yes. So at 54 years old, I'm kind of trying to turn the Titanic, so to speak.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah,
Before I hit the iceberg.
before you hit the
So
iceberg.
I don't know. All right. Um,
Mhm.
shall we talk about your stuff, Ann Brothers?
Yes, yes. Well, Duncan and I are going to Scotland in April. We are
That's
going with
awesome.
my Duncan's oldest brother, Johnny Williams, and his wife, Liz Williams. I've talked to Liz about Liz before on the show. So anyway, we are all going to Scotland together in April. We have our flight. We have our airplane tickets. We have our reservations are booked and all set for where we're going to be staying. We're going to do 10 days. I have never been I've been to Canada and Mexico, and that is as far as I've been. I haven't been to Europe, but I have been to Nebraska.
Oh yeah. And you haven't just been to Nebraska, you've been to many places in Nebraska.
Nebraska, exactly. So, though I am very well traveled in the continental U.S., I have no travel experience in Europe, and so we're going to go do that. It's Yeah, I'm very excited about it. It's becoming more and more real as the days tick by. So I've been reading my Scotland books, and I'm very excited about this. So yeah, that's what we're 2025. So in April, I will be Duncan and I and our good friends and family members, Johnny and Lizzie. We are going to Scotland. Um, I'm going to write my first book in 2025. I actually started it last month,
Yay.
and it's interesting. I've told people before on the show that I have dyslexia, and it's not something that I talked about at all. It's something that I worked very hard my entire life to hide. And in the last 2 years, I have been coming more to terms with the fact that I am, and how that has shaped my childhood and how it has shaped my adulthood. So that's what my first book is going to be about. It's going to be about my dyslexia. And one of the things I've learned about many dyslexic people is that they tend to remember things better in stories. And I have always told myself stories. I put myself to sleep at night with one of the stories that I have in my head. I have so many books in my head. It's not even funny. People are like, "Hi, you sleep. How come you sleep so well?" And I was like, well, I just tell myself a story until I fall asleep. And so I have always had stories in my head, and I understand that that is not an unusual thing for people with dyslexia to do, is to live their life as in storyline. and to have to remember things and to make up stories and to that's how we learn by making things into stories. And so I was like, well, I'm going to write this down. I started last month trying to get into a daily habit of it. I have my outlines all figured out. Jenny, I will need your help as my first editor. Because if there's one thing this dyslexic lady can do is I can outsmart any spell checker.
Fuck you,
So,
spell checker.
yeah, exactly. Screw you. Ha ha ha. You didn't think three L's could be in a row? Wrong. So anyway, so that's one of the things I'm going to be doing in 2024. I have a number. I have ideas for my first for several books, but my first one will be it'll be nonfiction. After that, I have several ideas for fiction books. I want to get into internet retail business. As Jenny knows, actually, once upon a time when I was in my early 20s, I owned a secondhand clothing store. And so I do love me some resale, and I am going to be. I have some things already lined up to practice on, and I'm going to start my own eBay sort of internet, retail business. So I hope to have that up and running by the end of the year. I have spent a lifetime, decades of my life planning and predicting. That is how you hide the fact that you are dyslexic, by planning and predicting everything so that no one ever knows. And I have done a very good job of planning and predicting and stockpiling, waiting for those times when I fail publicly, and how to mitigate that. And so what I'm working on right now, I want to work on more, is just being in the day to day and in the moment and what that looks like for me, because I'm not very good at that. What I am good at is looking off into the future and seeing. And because of that, I think about like, I knew I was going to, when I decided I was going to be a teacher, I was like, I'm going to be a teacher. I'm going to be a teacher for so long, and then I'm going to leave teaching. And that's what I did. And then I'm going to do massage therapy for so long, and then I'm going to leave massage therapy. And I'm going to save this much money, and then Duncan and I are going to buy a house. And so I have a house where I can have a big garden and I can build my big garden. So I've been pretty good all along about setting a goal and then figuring out the steps I need to get to that goal. And sometimes it takes me a year, and sometimes it takes me 15 years. But I'm very good at sticking to a plan and getting things done. But what I'm lousy at is living in the moment. So I guess what I'm going to be working on for myself this year is, what does that look like for me? What does it look like on a day-to-day basis, not just on what I should be doing a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now? How much money do I have to have saved? What does my home look like? What does my life look like? And more what do I want in the moment? What do I need in the moment? So that's a little bit more focus on where I'm going to be focused on right now. There you go.
Okay.
Mine's
Nicely
not
done.
quite as mine's not quite as, it's like I have a, just in my bid not to pre-plan or plan is hard. I've done a lifetime of planning and I'm in a good position. How do I now let that go a little bit and live more in the moment? So I guess that's my list kind of reflects that. It's like trying to be, what's going on? What's going to happen? How do I feel? How do I deal with
Are
that?
you gonna are you gonna are you gonna make some of your pillows to sell on your retail store?
Maybe Jenny,
Yeah.
maybe I will. So, yeah,
I'd like a Uranus pillow, please.
Uranus is for lovers.
That's right. Love it.
So yeah, so that's kind of my thing. That is,
Yay.
yeah, we'll see. Like last year at this time, what I really want, I had several things that I wanted to get done last year that I was able to get done. I'm now a volunteer with the Journey Beats program. That was an important thing for me to get done last year. I made I don't really want to talk about this as much, but I made a purchase at the end of 2024, and I'm going to need to spend 2025 getting a lot better at it. That sort of thing. So not something I want or feel like putting too much detail into, but I am. I got done things last year that I wanted to get done, and I think I can. This is what I want to get. I'd like to get this done this year. We'll see what happens.
Okay. It's
Mhm.
funny because you and I are kind of on opposite ends of that. You want to plan less, and I need to plan more.
Right, right, and I think I've always been a very good I mean, like I said, that's how you hide you're dyslexic by have I think a lot of people in my life thought I was a lot more free form than I am. Um, so I'm trying to, like, work on that now because 'cause I'm like, everything is planned. I have lists for my lists. I'm trying not to do that as much.
Love it.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Anyway,
Yeah.
so there we go. That's what I'd like my 2025 to look like, I
Okay.
think. We'll see.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. That's good. Any advice for those people that out there that are planning their 2025s? I
Not
don't really have
really.
advice for anybody
I
that
don't
other
have
than
advice
just,
for anybody
you know,
because, it's like you're kind of on your own path. I guess the first thing is like, what would you like? Start with a little list of like, these are the things I would like. And maybe your list will have 3 items on it. Maybe we'll have 25. And then if it, decide what one do you want to do first? What do you want to do second? When I left teaching, when I decided that I was leaving teaching, it took me 4 years still to get out because of all the things I needed to get done before I could leave teaching. So it's okay if you make a plan for something or if you want to get something done and it doesn't get done this year. That's okay too. I think that's another thing. It's like, well, I didn't get it done this year. I'm like, that's okay. Some things take longer. Um, don't beat yourself. I guess my advice is don't beat yourself up. Either you make your list, you try to do it, or maybe you don't. Maybe other things happen in your life. Don't beat yourself up about it. No reason to. That's the only advice
cool.
I have. Be
Excellent
kinder
advice.
to yourself.
Love it.
Mhm,
That's excellent advice. Well
mhm.
done. So, all
Yeah.
right, I gotta come over here to my media assets. All right.
Mhm,
All right. Well, I know kind of a short show today, but that's
mhm.
okay.
Yeah, I was
So,
like, I didn't have as much, I'm like, I'm trying not to, you know, do I want to? Jenny and I are talking about together getting the rental property in Marquette. I'd love to see that happen this year, but then I'm also okay if it doesn't happen this year. We have a
right.
lot of steps to follow with that, and I think we still have a few things to learn. I never thought I would. I barely thought I could be a homeowner, let alone owning two homes.
Two homes. That's crazy.
I
Yeah.
know, right? I was not
Yeah.
raised
We'll
in
have to
with
kind
that
of see how that
universe.
goes.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I get that. So yeah,
Hmm.
we'll see if that happens. And you never know what's again, don't know what's gonna happen. So we're
Hmm.
just gonna leave it at that. So yeah. Well, there you go. So well done, everybody. You've spent nearly 50 minutes learning things about stuff. This week you learned what the brothers sisters have planned for 2025.
And also about
Um,
inverse proportionality.
inverse proportionality and the 12-week year. So there you
Hmm.
go. So
Yeah.
and
So
the concepts
dang. I
behind
mean,
the
I'm
12-week year.
impressed. I'm impressed we got so much done in under 50 minutes, Jenny.
I know. See, there you go. It's because
Mhm.
we planned. There you go.
Exactly.
So yes, remember we would love to hear from you. We love the fact that we had some comments today. We'd love to hear your questions, concerns, comments, and
Confessions.
confessions. That's right.
Mhm.
Confessions of 2025. We'd love to know what you guys are up to for 2025, what's going on, how you're feeling, all kinds of stuff like that.
Mhm.
Remember, you can support the Brothers Sisters. There you go. That's something that you can do in 2025. You can
Mhm.
commit to supporting the Brothers Sisters for absolutely free by simply signing up on, Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music. Subscribe, smash, stuff, share. And again, you can share for absolutely free. You can tell your
Mhm.
people to share as well because that doesn't cost you even so much as a dime.
Mhm.
You can listen to us on Spotify for free. All of these things for free. Get the word out, follow us, all that sort of stuff. Like us. We want you to like us.
I know. We want to be liked so bad.
Make sure you join us next week. We got a big weekend coming up.
Mhm.
Next weekend, we're going to talk about the Six Wives of Henry VIII because we are going to see the show The Six, the musical, in Detroit next Saturday, and then we're going
Mhm.
to be all jazzed up and ready to talk about that. Anna's going to give us the breakdown of all of the wives of Henry VIII.
Mhm.
I would consider Anne to be obsessed with the wives of
Mhm.
Henry VIII. Is that a correct way to describe
Yeah.
you, Anne Brothers?
Yes, it is.
So
I wasn't like when I was younger. I was like, who's this Henry VIII dude and who are all these women that he married? And I remember being so obsessed about that and thinking, "Oh, maybe is that perverse? Am I like, why am I obsessed with this?" And then the first when I really got into nonfiction, the first book I read was about the six wives of Henry VIII, and after that I was like 100% in. So, and that was, I don't know, I was probably 21 when I read that. So now what, 25, 26 years later, here I am still obsessed with these women. Several things. One, I've already seen The Six before. I saw it in Toronto. And I am not a big musical theater person. So, if I'm going to go see a musical live again, that I love it very much. And I roped six of my friends and family into doing it with me. And so we're going to go see this. It's so fun. And then I get to talk next week for an hour. You're going to want to cut me off about the six wives of Henry VIII. And my favorite one, I won't tell you right now. I'll make you guess. But anyway, they were all remarkably awesome women, and I can't wait to tell you all about them.
okay, good. So there you
Mhm.
go. Ann Brothers is just oozing with anticipation to talk to you about the six wives of Henry VIII.
Uh-huh.
Let's go ahead and do our outro music. So
Okay.
until then, ladies and gentlemen, until you get a chance to hear Ann talk about the six wives of Henry VIII, we want you to do something smart, do something dumb, do something fun. We're nearly out of here. All right, Ann Brothers. See you next week.